Students, today we'll talk about Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Okay, firstly, I'll give you a short introduction on the chapter. Okay, actually, the Abdul Kalam's biography is titled Wings of Fire, and this particular chapter, My Childhood, talks about the childhood of APJ Abdul Kalam. Okay, he was the president of India and a great scientist too. APJ talks about his upbringing, his parents and siblings. He tells us about his friends and all those things that influence his childhood. Okay, so let's get in the chapter. Okay, I was born into a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameswaram in the erstwhile Madras state. Erstwhile means former, pichle jaga. Okay, means erstwhile. Okay, like if we now I'm working in Adams public school, right? But if I go in the another school, then I'll say that I was formerly working in St. Adams. Okay, so, APJ Abdul Kalam was born into a middle class Tamil family, and his place of birth, Rameswaram, is an island town in the state of Tamil Nadu, okay, in the Bay of Bengal. Today we know the state as Tamil Nadu, but when he was born, at that time the state was known as Madras state, okay. So now, my father, Jainuddin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. Okay, innate means inborn. Okay, in one's nature, जो आपके inborn quality बोलते हैं ना. ओके कोई किसी चीज़ में अच्छा होता है तो हम बोलते हैं कि ये मेरा इनबॉर्न क्वालिटी है. ओके, दैट इज़ नोन एज इननेट. एंड जेनरसिटी ऑफ स्पिरिट मीन्स his soul actually sought to help others who were needy. Okay, like अगर नीडी पीपल को देखें हम और अगर हमें उसे हेल्प करना चाहे तो दैट इज़ नोन एज जेनरसिटी ऑफ स्पिरिट. ओके, so, APJ Abdul Kalam's father's name was Jainuddin. APJ says that his father was not very rich. He did not have wealth. He was not highly educated, but despite this disadvantages, he had some other qualities. He was naturally very wise and was generous too. Okay, so now he had an ideal helpmate in my mother Ashiamma. APJ's mother's name was Ashiamma. She used to help his father and she was a great support and help to him. Okay, so now I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I'm quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. Okay, so APJ's mother was also generous and kind-hearted. Every day she used to feed a lot of people. Okay, she fed a greater number of people from outside than the total number of the members in the family. Okay, so now, I was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. Okay, undistinguished means ordinary or common. Okay, so Abdul Kalam had many siblings and he describes himself that he had short height and common looks. Okay, he did not have any exceptional looks. On the contrary, his parents were tall and handsome. They were good looking, okay, and APJ did not inherit their physical qualities. Okay, so now we lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large Pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mock Street in Rameswaram. Okay, so now Pakka house means a house made of bricks, cement and limestone. Okay, and APJ Abdul Kalam's ancestral house was very old. It was built in the 19th century. It was a Pakka house, okay, which was made of bricks and limestone. It is located on the Mock Street in Rameswaram. Okay, and now, my austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. Okay, so here austere father means simple, strict and severe. Okay, and secure means safe. Okay, Materially means in terms of things like clothes, food, and medicine. Okay, and emotionally means in terms of love and affection out here. Okay, so actually APJ's father was very simple, but he was strict also. He wanted to live his life in a simple way, and he used to teach his children not to waste money on unnecessary things, right? Everybody's parents does that, and APJ says that his father used to avoid any kind of inessential comforts and luxuries. Okay, he provided them all the necessary things like food, clothes, and medicines. And APJ says that his parents fulfilled all his needs, whether it was any tangible thing or their love and affection. Okay, this shows that he has the quality of gratitude. APJ is thankful to his parents for whatever they did for him. Okay. So now, the Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. Okay, so now, APJ was 8 years old when the Second World War broke in the year 1939. So we can calculate that he was born in the year 1931. Okay. Now, for reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mock Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. Okay, so here tamarind seeds means it's a kind of fruit. जिसे हम बोलते हैं इमली. Okay, and princely sum means generous amount. Okay, but in this particular line it's ironic. Okay, Anna means an old Indian coin, char anna, okay, and all that, worth about 6 paise. Okay, so the demand for tamarind seeds increased in the market. APJ used to collect and sell the tamarind seeds to a provision shop located on Mox Street. Okay, and he would earn a mere sum of 1 anna, which equals 6 paise. And when he addresses it as a princely sum, means here irony is that something very great and valuable. Okay, he's been ironic as the amount was very meager. Okay, at that time, this 1 anna meant a lot of money to him. Okay, so now my brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Okay, so here Dinamani means a Tamil Delhi newspaper, like we have here Amar Ujala, Telegraph, the statements and all. Okay, so Dinamani is a Tamil Delhi newspaper. Okay, so now what happened? APJ Abdul Kalam's brother-in-law Jalaluddin used to tell him the stories of the ongoing World War. Okay, later APJ used to read the newspaper Dinamani and used to look for the news of the same stories. Okay, so now our area being isolated was completely unaffected by the war, but soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. Okay, so isolated means lonely, cut off, alone. Okay, and Allied forces means the armies of UK, USA and Russia during the Second World War. Okay, so now Rameswaram was a small island town far away from land. Okay, so it was not affected by the World War in the beginning, but after some time India had to join the war and combined with the Allied forces. Okay, then a state of emergency was declared in the country. Actually, during emergency, the president's rule is implemented in the country. Okay, during an emergency, okay, the president's rule is implemented in the country. Okay, it is like a curfew in the country. Okay, like we are having a COVID curfew during Sundays night. Okay, but this curfew is a very big curfew. Okay, in the country, a lot of privileges which are given to the people are withdrawn. Okay, people are not allowed to go out. Okay, no. So now the first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameswaram station. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameswaram road between Rameswaram and Dhanushkodi. Okay, so here casualty means loss. Okay, suspension means end. Okay, to stop. Okay, So the first impact of World War II on the people of Rameswaram was the cancellation of the train stoppage at the Rameswaram station. Okay, earlier the train which came from India used to stop at Rameswaram station and then went further to Dhanuskori, but now the halt was cancelled and the train went from India to Dhanuskori without stopping at Rameswaram. Okay, so with this, the newspaper bundle which used to come from Rameswaram was thrown out of the moving train as it reached Rameswaram road. Okay, so now that forced my cousin Samsudin, who distributed newspapers in Rameswaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally I filled the slot. Samsudin helped me on my first wages. Okay, filled the slot means to fit into a place easily. Okay, so, APJ Abdul Kalam's cousin Samsudin used to distribute the newspapers in Rameswaram. Okay, and as the train stoppage was cancelled and the newspaper bundle was thrown out of the moving train, he needed someone to help him catch it. APJ helped Samsudin by catching the bundle and distributing the newspapers. Okay. And in return, Samsudin paid him a salary which was APJ's first earning. Okay, first earning of his life. Okay, so half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. Okay, so pride here means sudden increase in the feeling of satisfaction derived from one's own achievement. That is known as pride. When you achieve something, you get the satisfaction in your heart, right? Sudden increase in the feeling of satisfaction, that is known as pride. Okay, and half a century later means after a period of 50 years. Okay, so now this incident happened 50 years ago. Even now, that is when he wrote the book, he could feel satisfied and proud of himself. Okay, APJ says that whenever someone earns his own money with his hard work, he feels in the same way as he did. Okay, so now every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my three brothers and sisters. Okay, so here figures of authority means a person who had authority over another person, a person who has the power to give orders or make decisions is known as the figures of authority. Okay. And inherited means a characteristic or a quality which you have got from your parents or ancestors. Okay, and socio-economic means in terms of money. Okay, so for a child, the figure of authority is his parents, right? And the next figure of authority can be his teacher. Listen, no, a person who has authority over the child. APJ is saying that whenever a child is born, he has some qualities which he acquires from the elders in his family. Okay, and this depends upon the social status of the family and the environment at home. Okay, from his father, he inherited honesty and self-discipline, and from his mother, he inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. Okay, his siblings also inherited these qualities from their parents. Okay. So now, I had three close friends in my childhood, Ramananda, Sastri, Aravindan and Siva Prakashan. All these boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. Okay, Orthodox means very strict. Okay, so APJ had three best friends during his childhood and their names are Ramananda Sastri, Aravindan and Siva Prakashan. All of them belong to a very strict Hindu Brahmin families, okay, and were ardent followers of their religion. Okay. So now, as children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. In fact, Ramananda Sastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the high priest of the Rameswaram temple. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Rameswaram temple from his father. Okay, Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Siva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. Okay. So, As APJ was from a Muslim family, he says that during his childhood, all the children were so close to each other, okay, that they never felt they belonged to different religions, okay. Religion was not a barrier in their friendship. Okay, there is a very famous temple in Rameswaram, the Rameswaram temple. APJ's best friend Ramananda Sastri was the son of Paksi Lakshmana Sastri, okay, the priest of this temple. And when these three friends grew up, Ramananda Sastri took the priesthood of the Rameswaram temple. Arvindan started a business of transporting the pilgrims to and from the Rameswaram temple, okay, and Siva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railway, okay. He was in charge of the catering for the railways. Catering means khana, okay, khana ka dekhne wala sab kuch, okay. So now, during the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha, which was near our house. Okay. So, Rama Kalyanam ceremony is known as Kalyanotsava. Okay, it means marriage festival. In South Indian, marriage is known as Kalyanam. Okay, so Lord Rama and Sita's marriage is called Sita Rama Kalyanam. Okay, ceremony. So, and it is the ceremony of the depiction of the marriage between Sita and Rama. Okay. So now at home, whenever the Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony used to take place, APJ's family also took part in it. They used to arrange the boats for it, okay, and they used to make a special platform on the boats on which the statue of Ram and Sita were placed and transported from the temple to the marriage site, okay, which was in the middle of a pond named Rama Tirtha, okay. This pond was near APJ's house, and when he was growing up, he never thought that there was any difference between Hindus and Muslims, as they participated in the Hindus festivals wholeheartedly, okay. So now, events from the Ramayana and from the life of the Prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. Okay, so APJ says that they listen to stories from the Ramayana and the life of the Prophet from their mother and grandmother as bedtime stories. So they listen to stories about Hindu gods and Muslim gods. Okay, there was no differentiation on grounds of religion. Okay. So now one day when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameswaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramananda Sastri, who wore the sacred thread. Okay, so now, as APJ Abdul Kalam belonged to a Muslim family, he used to wear a cap on his head, which identified him as a Muslim. Okay, and his friend Ramananda Sastri, who was the son of the priest of the Rameswaram temple, belonged to a Hindu Brahmin family and used to wear the sacred thread worn by Brahmins. Okay, when these children were in class 5, a new teacher came to their class. APJ Abdul Kalam recalls an incident which happened then. Okay. So now the new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramananda Sastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. Okay, so here could not stomach means could not tolerate. Okay, and downcast means sad or depressed. Okay, so what happened? This new teacher could not tolerate that a Hindu priest's son was sitting next to a Muslim boy. Okay, so he told APJ to go and sit on the last bench as he belonged to a lower rank of the society, and both the children felt very bad. When APJ changed his seat and went back and sat on the last bench, Ramananda felt very bad, okay? APJ still remembers the image of his friend Ramananda crying. It left a lifelong impression on Kalam of his friend's feelings for him, okay? So now after school we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Sastri summoned the teacher and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Okay, not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Sastri conveyed ultimately reformed his young teacher. Okay, summoned here means to call. Okay, and bluntly means speaking in a direct and honest way, even if this offends or upset people. Okay, apologize means seek pardon, to say sorry. Okay, quit means to leave, conviction means a strong opinion or belief. Okay, and convey means communicate, to say. Okay, so both children went home and told their parents about this incident, and Ramananda's father Lakshmana Sastri called the new teacher and scolded him. Okay, he told him not to kill the children's friendship by putting the venomous discrimination of caste and religious into the innocent minds. And Lakshmana Sastri was very clear in himself. So he told the teacher, either you ask sorry for the wrong you have done, else leave the school and Rameswaram town also. The teacher asked sorry for the mistake he had done, and due to Lakshmana Sastri's determination, his thoughts about religion and caste changed. Okay, so now on the whole, the small society of Rameswaram was very rigid in terms of the segregation of different social groups. However, my science teacher Siva Subramania Iyer thought, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife was something of a rebel, he did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle easily. He used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the cities. Okay. So rigid here means strict, segregation means separation. Okay, orthodox means one who follows the religion strictly, conservative means traditional, rebel means in opposition, mingle means to interact with each other, and on par means at the same level. Okay, so actually the division of society into four groups, that were Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras. Okay, so maybe you know about this, maybe you have learned about this in your history, right? So the division of society into four groups, okay, that is Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras was strictly followed in Rameswaram. Okay, so Abdul Kalam, science teacher Siva Subramania Iyer, was a religious person. He was an orthodox Brahmin, okay, but was a rebellious type of person. He did not believe in distinction on the basis of the caste system. He worked very hard to break the social barriers, and he wanted people of different caste to interact with each other. Okay, and he encouraged APJ Abdul Kalam to work hard so that he could be at the same level as the highly educated people who lived in big cities. Okay. So now, one day he invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually pure kitchen. Okay, she refused to serve me in her kitchen, and Siva Subramania Iyer was not perturbed, nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served me with his own hands, okay, and sat down beside me to eat his meal, and his wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. Okay, ritually pure means kept protected from all outside influences, okay, for the observances of religion. Okay, and perturbed means to be upset, okay, to be sad. So Siva Subramania Iyer's wife belonged to a traditional and orthodox Brahmin family. She followed the religion very strictly, and to keep the kitchen pure, no one from an inferior religion was allowed to enter the kitchen. Okay, so when Siva Subramania Iyer called APJ Abdul Kalam for dinner at his home, his wife feared that a boy from a Muslim family would make her kitchen impure. So she refused to serve him food in her kitchen. Okay, and Siva Subramania Iyer was neither upset nor he was angry. He himself served food to APJ and sat down beside him to eat. Okay, and his wife stood beside the kitchen door and looked at APJ while he was having food, and APJ says that he doesn't think that she felt there was any difference in the way he was having his food, or the way he was drinking water, or in the way he cleaned the floor after the meal. Okay, he wants to highlight that religion does not matter, as it does not alter the way in which a person eats. Okay, so now, when I was leaving his house, Shiva Subramania Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. Observing my situation, he told me not to get upset, saying, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted. Okay, citation means doubt and delay. Okay, confronted means face to tackle. Okay, when APJ was about to leave Shiva Subramania Iyer's house, he invited him for dinner once again. And when Shiva Subramaniam Iyer saw that APJ Abdul Kalam was hesitant, he asked him not to be upset. Okay? He added that if he had decided to change the system to go against the norms of the society, he had to be strong and brave and confront the situation. Okay? So now, when I visited his house the next week, Shiva Subramania Iyer's wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. Okay, so what happened when he visited Shiva Subramania Iyer's home for dinner the next week? His wife made him sit in the kitchen and served him food with her own hands. Okay, this is the change that happened. Okay, so now then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. Okay, the whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. Okay, so imminent here means about to happen. Okay, unprecedented means never done or known before. Okay, kabhi nahi kiya. Optimism means hope and cheer. Okay, so when the Second World War got over in the year 1945, India was about to get freedom, which happened in the year 1947. Okay, and Mahatma Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, okay, known as the father of the nation, was a crucial part of India's freedom struggle, and he said that Indians would build their own India. The entire country was filled with hope and happiness. Okay, everyone was experiencing such a feeling which they had never felt before. So everyone was hoping that now they would get their freedom. Okay, so now I asked my father for permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. He told me as if thinking aloud, Abul, I know you have to go away to grow. Does the seagull not fly across the sun alone and without a nest? Okay, so APJ asked his father to allow him to go to Ramanathapuram, which was the district headquarters for higher studies. Okay, and here seagull means birds. Okay, so in reply his father told him that he knew that APJ needed to go away so that he could move ahead in life. Okay, he gave the example of a seagull which flies away in the sky all alone and does not have a nest. It means it does not have a home of its own. Okay, as it keeps on flying from one place to another. Okay, so he quoted Khalil Gibran to my hesitant mother, your children are not your children, they are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you but not from you. You may give them your love but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. Okay, so longing here means desire. Okay, for they have their own thoughts. Excerpt from Your Children, poem by Khalil Gibran. Okay, Gibran. Okay, so when APJ's mother came to know that he was about to leave home and wanted to go to Ramanathapuram for higher studies, she got upset, and APJ's father tried to calm her down and told her a few lines from a famous poem titled Your Children, okay, written by Khalil Gibran. He said that your children are not your children, they are the children of life. Don't think that you can rule your children. They are a result of life's desire for itself. They have their own thoughts. He asked her to give them freedom to fulfill their thoughts. Okay.